All right, we are here with Kara Lubieniecki and Addie Bracy, both training up in Boulder, Colorado, with the Brad Hudson group, and they're coming out to Sacramento in a few weeks for CIM. Ladies, how are things going? What are the nerves like now that we're about a week and a half away from the race?
I think we feel ready, but with the marathon, you just always are a little bit nervous. There's a lot that can go right or wrong in 26 miles. So I think we're ready, but at the same time, we're, I think, both a little bit nervous and apprehensive. It's Kara's first one, and my other two that I've done were really unsuccessful. So I think there's not pressure, but there's a little bit of expectations and uncertainty with what really to expect.
Absolutely. I'd have to second that. I definitely trust the training. It wasn't necessarily the smoothest build-up I've ever had for a race, but at the same time, I feel really good about the training I did get in, and I know I'm fit, but just the whole 26 miles is pretty daunting. So on race day, it's exciting, but definitely approaching it as a little cautious and just not exactly sure what's going to happen. But at the same time, that unknown is definitely exciting.
Now, Addie, you've mentioned that the two marathons you've done before. What are you focusing on doing differently to kind of have a more positive result this time around?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors. For one, I did all the training for both of them by myself, and I ran the entire race by myself, and I think that's hard to do. So even just knowing that I had a teammate there that we're hopefully going to run every step of the way together is already, I think, an advantage over the last ones. The first one I ran was I was unprepared. There was no other way to get around it. I didn't do the training I needed to. The second one 2 years ago was a lot of bad luck, a lot of issues with fueling, and we've really focused on that this time around and done the fuel runs and really practiced getting in what we need to get in to kind of sustain the effort we want. So I think prioritizing that is going to be big going into this one.
And Kara, you mentioned, having just so different training from, say running a 10K on the track. What kind of adjustments have you had to make to the different training style of the marathon?
Well, it's a lot bigger volume, and you're not necessarily going fast, but for the marathon, you're focusing on your muscles just have to get used to taking all that pounding, and then you have to adjust all your metabolic systems into getting used to fueling and kind of that whole substrate utilization thing for getting ready to do a hard effort for that long. And so as a result of that, you're just doing a lot of long runs. And so mentally, that's really difficult for me. So that was the biggest struggle, I'd say, for me, is getting myself mentally prepared. I think at the beginning of the season, I definitely wasn't mentally prepared, and I was really scared of the training. But as it went on, I realized, luckily with Addie and then Brad kind of helping me and guiding me and stuff, then I realized that it's doable. So that was the biggest adjustment, is just getting used to the up in mileage, and then as well as just the long runs where you just have to mentally be tough.
Now, you guys are both coming off of pretty successful track seasons. What's the adjustment like when you're training for a type of a race where you're engaged the whole time, you're really trying to race people, to the marathon where a lot of it's just trying to get through the distance, and while also trying to race people? What is that difference like?
Well, I haven't raced a marathon, so I don't know if I can speak to the difference quite yet, but I know for me going into it, I'm going to have to really almost focus or maybe turn my head off for the first half or even the first 18 to 20 miles, as far as I can't let myself get antsy because it's going to feel slow the first 10 miles and stuff, but I just have to keep reminding myself that in 20 miles I'm going to be grateful that I kind of cooled it in the first part. And so I think that's going to be the biggest what I have to keep reminding myself of, is just to chill out the first part and kind of let other people do the work and just cruise along and then get ready to race the last 6 miles or so.
Yeah, I would second that. I think in the past, in the marathon, I've gone out too fast, and that's exactly what you don't want to do, just because you're kind of in a hurry to feel like you're racing. Because like she said, if you're doing it right, you don't feel like you're racing for a huge portion of the race. And I think Brad has been good this time around about really reminding us of that. And a lot of the times, I think probably one of the biggest things he says during workouts is, how easy can you make it? You know, I don't want you to be out here pounding yourself and maybe like you would during the track season. I want you to run the pace and just feel easy. And it's not anything special. It's just learning that pace and being comfortable with, like she said, zoning out and just not rushing the process and kind of just getting through it until you get to the point of the race when you want to feel like you're racing, which is the last 6 miles, not the first 6 miles.
Gotcha. Now, you guys are both part of, in a training mecca where, Boulder and people have, a lot of elite athletes up there, and you're with a really well-respected marathon coach and Brad Hudson. What's the dynamic like within the group of just having everyone kind of all in, with their professional careers and really invested in the sport?
I'd say it's definitely really positive. I think we all bring something different to the group, which is, it's awesome to be able to run with women who have been so successful in professional career and also want to have this running career as well. And so, and there's a lot of women who have a lot more experience in the marathon distance than I do as well. And so that's been cool to get their take on things and be able to kind of implement that into my training and how I'm going to approach the marathon. So yeah, almost anyone you talk to in Boulder has tried a marathon or an Ironman or something like that, and so they all have their tips and things like that. But there's also the danger of you just giving too much information and trying to sort through all that on what's actually true and what you can kind of like touch aside and keep in the back of your mind, but you don't have to focus on. But luckily, I feel like the group that Brad has out here, they're all very focused and on point. And so I've felt very lucky to have the support that I've had through the marathon training cycle.